Hey, okay, so we have Pragmatic, Crystal, and Icarus, our most loyal listeners out in the chat already. How about that?
Hello.
Yep.
Oh, am I echoing?
No.
Oh,
Are you
that was
echoing?
weird. I thought I echoed for a second.
Oh, that's all in your head, Andrew. It's a rare
It's
form.
probably all in my head.
A rare form of schizophrenia. Like everything.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if I have stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Or maybe OCD. I don't know.
Yep. Okay, so today we have a wonderful little video from Answers in Genesis. Start the virtual camera.
Because they always have something to... Well, in a broad sense, at least they always have some meat to chew on.
Oh my God! And we looked at one from AIG Canada yesterday, just briefly.
Oh, really?
And I blanked it out of my mind because of the horror. They got this.
That's that one live, but I was off doing other stuff. So.
Yeah, they got this series called Evolutionists Do Not Want to See This, and then they have something. See this video about the Big Bang, or they don't want to.
I think they're just doing that for clickbait, to be honest.
Yeah, well, Scott and I had a conversation this morning, basically that when a good preacher gets up in front of the his congregation, and he goes on, and the audience, and he's got this powerful rhetoric that he's using, and the audience is going, "Amen, amen." Well, amen is the same as clicks on YouTube. So what they do is they come up with rhetoric, and everybody's like, amen, click, click,
Right.
And that's what the whole game is. That's what Rebecca is doing. She did it on her shorts. It was just amen. And, smiling, and everybody's going along with it. And everybody, those dumb scientists are, dumb.
I don't remember exactly, but I think it was like some scholar in ancient Greece or something like that said, if you have good rhetoric, or if you speak confidently enough, that sort of stuff, then it doesn't really matter what you say. People are going to believe you either way if they don't know any better.
Yeah, you could just be humming up there, with a good rhythm, humming a good hymn, and everybody'd be amen. And that's all they do. Pretty bad.
Although at some point it is feeding the audience what they want, because they're kind of targeting a niche partitioning here. They're not trying to convince anyone else. So
yeah, and the niche is a particular kind of person, and unfortunately there's a whole lot of them, but they want to be a small group of special people who know the truth while everyone else is deluded. So they want to be like at the head of the flock, leading the flock. It's like, we know the God's word, the truth, and all these other idiots are just not seeing it. And we're the special ones. And we're going to be the first ones on top of the cloud when the fucking apocalypse comes, right?
Right.
Yeah. What do they call it when they all rise up at once? They're all going to rise up into the heavens, ascension, or what the fuck is that? Somebody else.
It's from Revelation, right? But it's not called Revelation. Something. Yeah.
There have been a couple of good series based on that idea lately.
The Judgment or something. I don't know.
Oh, what is it? They rise up. Oh my God. What is that called, guys?
Yeah. Help us out in the side chat, y'all. Oh, it seemed. Oh, rapture. There we go. Yeah.
You get raptured. Well, what the fuck is that? You're raptured and you like rise up into. Anyway, they're going to be the first ones raptured.
Yeah.
And they have to believe that. And like there's a whole huge section of this country right now that they're just, they have the idea. They're the moral ones. They're the true, they got the true idea, and everybody else, they're just atheists, scientists, and they don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, okay, we'll listen to some of this, okay?
Okay. Oh, it also seems Dave saying in side chat, Sal was on Bread of Life's channel about cosmology.
Last night? No.
Good.
No. Oh no, not again.
It has begun again.
No, I didn't see that one. Oh God, my blood pressure. I'm gonna go take some blood pressure medication. Okay, a man who lies to himself and believes his own lies becomes unable to recognize the truth either in himself or in anyone else. Fyodor Dostoevsky.
And sadly, it's true.
Oh no, not again, James says. Hi,
James.
And hi, Dave.
Everyone for being here today. Okay. Yep. We get started.
Let's listen. Started at 24 seconds.
Okay. You want to just do bookmarks maybe, and then see if check out that.
Yeah, we'll do a few. We'll do a few bookmarks, and let's just hear their intro.
Sure. To settle the matter, right? So therefore, science says it's true. Therefore, it's got to be true.
I don't believe in God. I believe in science.
What do you think about that?
Well, first off, science doesn't say anything, does it? Science is a methodology.
If it did, you'd probably run.
Yeah, science is talking to you. Go seek a counselor. Yeah. There's something wrong. But no, seriously, we got to dive into this subject.
Who says that, though? I've never heard anyone say that. Like, the science says this. Like, they're obviously misconstruing what people mean by that or what they're implying by that.
Yeah, well, there again, they're the geniuses that caught that out. They caught that, particularly.
Oh, your volume's really low now.
Mine is? Oh, hold on. Yeah. Is my volume low now?
A little better.
Oh, okay. What the hell happens? I don't know. It must be Restream trying to correct after the video or something like that.
Or like what Captive Dusk says, like Frank Turek says it too. Like, yeah, the only people I generally hear that from are creationists or other science deniers that like, oh, science says this, so it supports our position.
Yeah, it's part of the rhetoric here, and I've been trying to track what they do. They go in circles. They say they start picking on science and say, oh, science is just the opinion of man. It's not observable and repeatable.
Right.
And then they'll go on and they'll talk about their method, which is to read Genesis literally, and which is also not observable and repeatable. But they never say that. And then they'll say that, oh, science is just a religion because, and then they go around in circles until they beat you silly with their
a lot of double standards going on.
It's really bad. Okay, so I got the first bookmark at 52.
You guys ever heard of this? Maybe God used the Big Bang to create everything. Have you guys heard that before?
I've heard
or maybe
that.
God, his hand has directed these processes over billions of years to mature everything, and he just started up the clock, let it go, all these natural processes, then take its course over billions and billions of years, and then that's how we got everything.
And that's a major problem. You know why that's a problem? That's not what God said.
That's right.
See, the key.
They know what God said, right?
He said he didn't use the Big Bang. Like he specifically said that. Like, I don't know. It's just a weird way of wording it.
Yes, what did God say? How about we go back to God's word and see what God had to say?
This is the foundation.
On the subject of how he created everything.
Yeah, let's start with the Bible here. The history book of the universe. The answer is clear here. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, nothing exploded and created everything.
So did they observe God saying this? It's just like, okay, they ask you to, imagine, just imagine for a moment, the Big Bang happened, exploded, everything came from nothing. Well, just imagine for a second that there's somebody 3,000 years ago in the desert, and he's got a sheep, and he's got a pen, and he's got some papyrus or something. And exactly how did God's word end up on that sheet of paper? Now try to imagine what happened. Like God spoke their language, which is not the English that is written in today, but Hebrew or whatever, and they wrote as fast as God was talking. I mean, God tapped them on the shoulder and said, "Hey, could you write this down?" I mean,
Right.
what the fuck are they talking about? Now, if God inspired man to write the Bible, then God had to inspire man somehow from man's unconscious or subconscious and cause him
Like
to
some divine revelation.
write a story, right? And he's going to write a story in the way that he is capable of writing. And that's I wish they'd just talk about that for a minute, but they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about science and what scientists say. They never want to talk about their own bullshit, It just drives me crazy that you can't get them right down to the moment to imagine what do you think exactly happened when God inspired the Bible?
Right.
Just
Well,
like,
the ironic thing
okay,
is, it's not the Bible saying it, it's their view imposed onto the Bible. Because the Bible doesn't
exactly.
say how old the universe is. It doesn't say how God create. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah, well,
in the beginning there was like that sort of thing, but like that could mean dozens of different things. Like that's not terribly specific.
so we have God, and God has an idea or something he wants to convey, and he shoots it down somehow to the sheep herder, and then now the sheep herder has the idea, okay, and now the sheep herder writes that idea down, okay, and now that idea gets translated several times and modified and rewritten, transcribed, whatever, for 2,000 years, and then they're reading those words after it's been translated into other languages, and now they're putting it into their mind, and they come up with an idea. How the fuck does that relate to what God originally intended? I mean, it's a game of telephone. Is that what it's called, where you whisper in somebody's ear and they whisper? Is that or telegraph or something?
Yeah, telephone. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So he's going to read us what God's word is right here. I think.
Historical narrative, yet so many Christians today, people just ignore it and then rely on man's opinions to then explain the past. But if we look at
And what the fuck are you relying on right now? What is this that you're saying, if not your opinion of those words? See what I mean by the rhetoric, and they're constantly attacking their own idea, but they don't make it look that way. It's just unbelievable.
Right.
Basically, it says day 1, God created the light and the earth. Day 2, he separated the waters above from the waters below. Day 3, created dry land and plants. Day 4, the sun, moon, planets, and stars. Day 5, flying and sea creatures, just like that one right there.
There we go.
Day 6, land animals and man. So obviously the text makes it clear that God spoke everything into existence in 6:24.
What does that mean to speak something into existence? How do you speak something into existence?
And
what does that mean?
How is that different from their cartoon depiction of the Big Bang, when they say that everything just exploded, right? Oh, it came from nothing, and they make fun of that. But speaking something into existence, we're supposed to buy that shit.
I think that at that point they use a tu quoque fallacy. Say like, oh, mine's just as bad as yours, so
something like that, yeah. Yep. And this business of he did this on one day, and then the next day he did something. Well, they got an excuse for that. The God could have done it all at once. I think he goes on and talks about that next.
4 hours days, resting on the 7th. Each day of creation is bounded by evening, morning time number,
right.
evening,
Okay,
morning
sorry.
number,
Highlight.
day, blah, 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 blah.
Sorry, go back and then highlight Icarus's comment. That's funny.
Oh my God.
Siri, start the universe. It'd be a cosmic scale Siri in that case.
Am I too far? Am I too early?
The most recent one.
Oh, the most recent one from. Look at the.
So it should be at the bottom.
Oh, okay. Siri, start the universe. Oh no. Oh, I love it.
Also, I don't know if it's something with your mic or the YouTube, but like immediately after you're done playing the video, your mic is really low, but then it starts picking up again.
It's restream.
Is that just me, or are you guys in the audience seeing that too?
I don't know. I think it's restream. They tend to cut the noise or something because the video is kind of loud. I'm not sure. I'll try to bring my mic closer and.
Yeah, maybe a little bit because the video is a little loud.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, this one is damn loud, isn't it?
Oh, we can try a few different things.
We'll try it right there. Okay. Okay, so we're at 228, and then we have 316. I don't know. We'll go ahead here. We're never going to get done if we don't miss some things.
Yeah.
The evolutionary stories say, what is this Big Bang idea that's out there?
Okay, well, first off, we need to understand it doesn't come from the Bible. So if it doesn't come from God, where does it come from? It comes from man.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I mean,
what the fuck?
Although,
doesn't
like we were saying earlier, where does the Bible come from either?
Man. Like, but God was speaking into his ear and he was writing it down, verbatim, word for word, as fast as God spoke it. It's like, come on, guys, fucking make some sense. I mean, if they're going to pick on something, at least be honest enough to turn the spotlight back on yourself and listen to what you're saying and use a little humility. God, these people.
Ideas of man are then elevated to super.
What'd you say?
Or I was just saying, well, once you listen to yourself, put the spotlight on yourself, like you were saying, you might understand where the fallacies in your position. And if you do that, you might not believe your position. And it's kind of a downward spiral from there. And so you obviously don't want that if you believe in fundamentalist thinking.
Yeah, and we'll get into it a little further if we get that far. I hope we do. Because they talk about what science is, and it relates to that. Like, it's not an opinion. Okay, it's a little deeper than an opinion.
As BS says, everyone knows God only inspires YAC scientists. Right?
Oh, yes.
You're not a true psychic. My powers don't work on you.
Let's see. Can't do that.
God. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the comments. There are some good comments today. Thanks, everyone.
And I'm missing them. Okay.
Word. That's the religion of humanism. And specifically, this is naturalism, or nature is all that there is. That's where the idea of Big Bang comes from. It comes from an entirely different religious perspective. And so when people say, well, where did everything come from? And they don't want God, it has to come from somewhere. So maybe it came from nothing.
Yeah, you see, they see everything as a religious perspective, so they have to bring science down to be nothing more than just a different religious perspective.
They can't think outside of that box.
They can't. And what he was saying before is that, some Christians say that, why didn't God just, create the universe exactly as science is finding it to be created and do it that way and have everything naturalistically develop into the earth and human beings and stuff like that. And I think most Christians actually believe that, right? And
here's what's interesting. If the Big Bang's also a religion, but most Christians accept it, then they're accepting two religions at the same time.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
How does that happen?
They're trying to say that this is an atheistic worldview. And then they say that the Christians that believe science, that somehow they're wrong too, right? And they're like the atheists, but they want to keep saying that is an atheistic worldview, but they're talking about other Christians who obviously believe in the resurrection of Christ, and they believe, in some miracles and whatever. And they want to lump everybody else besides the yaks, which would amount to 3% of the world population right now or something like that. Yeah. I mean, they can't be. Well, maybe they're bigger. I don't.
An us versus them mentality, and now somehow the Christians are also atheists if they disagree with them.
Yep.
And by the way, we call it a story. It's not a theory because the theory requires scientific evidence. We call it an idea or a story.
Or
And
models
basically,
sometimes,
in short, it's just this naturalistic origin story, basically the cosmogony of the universe, but they try to leave God.
And what the hell did he just read us? He wrote us, he read us like 6 lines where the entire universe was created. And that's not just a story. I mean, that sounds like a story to me. God created the heavens, and then he created light, and then he created some plants, and then he made sea animals and man or some fucking thing. It's like,
Right.
what do you mean just a story? And he's completely misunderstanding what a theory is, basically.
Yeah. Well, I just don't know what to say at that statement, because maybe it's just because I'm a big cosmology nerd, but like I could not think of another scientific theory, or at least one grounded in mathematical physics, that has more lines of evidence supporting it than the Big Bang theory. Like, yeah, there are other theories out there, obviously, like evolution and plate tectonics and whatnot, but that's the whole thing about a theory, is it's supported by multiple overlapping lines of evidence pointing toward the same overall conclusion. Like,
yeah, and a theory is a very fluid thing. It is altered as new evidence comes up, and hopefully it gets filled in rather than overturned. And overturning doesn't happen a whole lot these days at all.
Well, the thing about a theory is it's got a bunch of hypotheses attached to it, basically. So each time you're testing a hypothesis, that's founded in, or that theory includes, basically, you're essentially testing the basic idea of that theory. So if you're testing how the statistical fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background, how those behave, or how the pattern with that, how that emerges, you're testing the root ideas of the Big Bang itself. So if that works out, then that means the underlying theory also is kind of supported. So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So Dave, I just shut off noise suppression. So let's see if that makes a difference. I don't know.
Yeah.
They have noise suppression and echo cancellation, which I don't think I want to do, but I could try that next. We'll see.
It sounds a little better now, but yeah, if anyone hears it start up again, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Oh my God. Okay. We go on to the next bookmark at 421, but I got 18 seconds.
Out of it. Try to explain everything through naturalistic processes, essentially beginning with the singularity, the super hot, dense point there, billions of years ago, with all the mass, energy, and space as well. One day just exploded, rapidly expanding out into the universe there, and over a vast amount of time, this energy cooled down, and on it goes.
Just try to imagine that for a second.
Yeah.
Some sort of...
Try to imagine what he just read in Genesis for a second, okay? I forget the order of it, but what God created the heaven and the earth first on the first day. Okay, the heaven and the earth. Then he created light and the stars, right? And it's like in the sun.
And he created all the plants and animals before he created the sun. Like, how does that work?
And then the water, and oh my God, try to imagine. Okay, yeah, he's making fun of science, okay, by saying, well, try to imagine how this happened. It's like, yeah, well, a lot of us are pretty good at imagining what could have happened, right? It's a lot more detailed in their damn story. I don't understand why.
Well, the ultimate point, though, is that it doesn't matter if you can imagine it. What matters is if it's correct or not, if the evidence supports it. If it does, then like as Neil deGrasse Tyson often says, and it's a really good quote, so I'm going to use it again. The universe is under no obligation to make sense to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't have to be simple. It doesn't have to be able to be imagined. Sorry, kind of clunky wording there.
Yep. It's okay. Now we're still.
And also, for, of course, as must be said each time for the umpteenth time, no, didn't come from nothing. No, didn't explode. The singularity probably wasn't a thing. So like all these ghosts from Big Bang past coming, or I should say creationist misrepresentation of the Big Bang coming back to haunt us over and over again.
Yep. Okay, rolling.
That's what they call that. Where it's almost empty.
What's that?
I said apparently the quote I just quoted, Phil Plait said it first. I didn't know that, so thank you for the update, Logan Fisher.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Universe is under no obligation to comport with your expectations.
Yep. Okay, I'm
Well
rolling.
said.
Infinitely dense and infinitely hot, all compressed into one spot, and then they say, boom.
Singularity is just a fancy
goes.
word, meaning I don't know what it is. So,
Yeah.
but it sounds fancy, so
Right.
it's got to be science.
Well, then why are you bringing it up?
Right.
No one's repeated it.
That's right. Has anyone ever observed, tested, repeated the Big Bang
No.
millions of years? No. Because
Now,
Has anybody ever observed, tested, and repeated God creating the universe, or God inspiring sheep herders to write it down, the Word of God? No.
Well,
So-
here's the thing. When scientists say it has to be observable and repeatable, what they mean is the observations have to be repeated so that you eventually go toward the same conclusion. Like that's what it means for it to be testable, for it to be repeatable, and not the event itself. Like that's not what the word means. That's not what
Again,
it's
there's-
used for.
There's some conflation going on here. They want to
Yes,
say
exactly.
that the theory has to be observed, repeated, and retested. And of course, we can't create the universe in a laboratory. If we could, we'd be pretty fucking fancy, wouldn't we? So,
Right.
but it's the observations that support the theory that are testable, repeatable, and predictable. That sort of thing.
Well, think about it. If you could create the universe in a lab, like wouldn't you be God in a sense? Like that'd be support creationism more than it would support the Big Bang.
Yep. We could observe it, test it, repeat it over and over again, see what kind of different universes we get.
That'd be pretty funny.
See if we can get a universe where I win the lottery. And that would be good.
See if we can get a universe where creationism doesn't develop.
Oh, yes. No creationism. Oh, but I'd sign up for that thing. Okay. Okay, so...
it's actually a religious belief.
Oh, that's real cute. What is that supposed to do for us?
Okay, I guess this was an edited video after they made the original seminar.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, not quite live. And then I jockey way ahead here to 908. I'm not sure where we're going now.
I know. They're not
And
there.
honestly, there's a lot of problems over and over again. And the Big Bang is actually one of the only models really in science and physics that's constantly morphed and changed over time to adapt to each new problem, which is just amazing to think that. I mean, that's
Okay, can you think of a single theory, a single model that we have that does not adapt and change as new evidence becomes available?
Yeah, exactly.
And he says
Like-
this.
that's not how
Update with
science
new
works.
information. That's not how science works.
Not how science works. That is exactly how science works.
That's exactly how it's supposed to work.
Jesus Christ, why would he say something like that?
And this is coming from a guy who's supposedly a rocket scientist or whatever his title is.
Oh,
Like
he is?
a some kind of scientist.
Who is he?
I'm not. He's one of their physics guys. He talks about this topic.
Ooh, the Webb telescope is named after him. So obviously, okay, Rob Webb.
Oh, right. Oh, that's a coincidence.
Yeah. Aerospace Engineering, University of Colorado. So aerospace engineering. I don't buy that that's got you capable of commenting on physics and cosmology. It's almost like Cell's applied physics degree. That is a different degree.
Right. Or cosmology. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to point out real quick that the Big Bang, I should say the Lambda CDM model, which kind of is based around the Big Bang happening, or probably I could word that better. But anyways, the LCDM model is really in only 6 independent parameters. Like from those 6, you can base all the other parameters like the Hubble constant, the age, just all the things you want to know about the universe. You take those parameters originally and you plug them into the math using general relativity basically, and out come the other parameters. So it's actually a remarkably simple construct basically that you're using to generate all these testable predictions basically that we observe. And like, of course, he's not going to go into all the independent lines of evidence that were predicted by the Big Bang, or the original Big Bang theory, or all the things that support it now, or
Let's see what else he has to say about science. He's supposed to have a degree, and he said that that's not how science works.
Right. Well, what gets me is like something to the theory, but that doesn't really change the basic concept behind the theory itself. Like it's not like changing the theory as a whole outright. Like that, they seem to make that mistake a lot.
Yeah, I don't think there aren't too many things that have been overturned. Maybe the the geocentric universe was overturned, 300, 400, 500 years ago.
Right.
But I mean, quantum mechanics did not turn Newtonian mechanics. It simply embellished it and made it a higher resolution model that made more sense.
It kind of encompassed it into a deeper understanding. Like Newtonian physics didn't just go away immediately.
Yeah, well, Newtonian physics still works at most, the levels of resolution that we do engineering at. We still use it.
We use it to send astronauts to the moon, for crying out loud. It obviously works.
Yeah. Let me see here. I'm pulling up my iPad for some reason. I might actually use it. I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay. So let's see. We got that 919. Where am I? Should I go to the next one because he's just gonna continue being done? Oh, yeah. Okay. He goes.
Yeah, we should probably get into some actual stuff we can.
That happens a little bit later. Things you want to comment on? Okay. He goes into rescue devices, and they kind of explain what they are. So to them, a rescue device is a refinement of a theory. They do that with evolution all of the time, but just let's listen to them.
Problem, which is just amazing to think that. I mean, that's not how science works, guys.
No, it's not.
You have to constantly go back and adjust your theory to then match all the observations. It should tell you that there's probably something wrong with your underlying theory there.
That's not what we're doing.
Exactly.
Another problem is missing antimatter. Okay, antimatter isn't like
not just sci-fi.
Non-matter. It really is matter.
Okay. So missing antimatter. There's one for you. Should we listen to it?
So a couple of things here. First, it's the matter antimatter asymmetry, which is what they're talking about here. The thing about we only observe matter in the universe. We don't observe any antimatter out there near as we can tell. It's only created in very high energy events like in particle accelerators or with cosmic rays hitting the atmosphere, or supernova events, that sort of thing. But there's no like antimatter planets or antimatter galaxies or stuff like that that we can detect. So first, that's kind of an issue more with the standard model of particle physics, because if you have energy being converted into mass, the physics says that it should be converted into an equal amount of matter particles and antimatter antiparticles, basically. So that tells us, yes, the standard model of particle physics is incomplete somehow. The thing is, we know why it's incomplete, and we actually have some evidence that some of the symmetries behind this matter antimatter asymmetry, like, they're not quite enough to explain it yet, but we do know that these symmetries are broken in certain situations. So that tells us that, yeah, there's probably a mechanism that does satisfy the conditions, which we already know, by the way, the conditions that have to be met for this symmetry to be broken, so that you don't get as much antimatter as matter being produced. So it's not like we're completely in the dark here. We're just at the point where we have all these ideas, but we can't really test them all yet, because of course we can't go back in time, and or we don't have any data from that time period yet. I mean, hopefully we will soon, but we don't have any ways to really experimentally confirm these ideas, except maybe in particle accelerators or whatnot, but we're still working on that.
Yeah, for history, we have to use inference to the, the best possible path.
Right.
And for things like abiogenesis, there are probably millions of paths, right? And what we're looking for is a couple that, punch through and become valid paths. And what the creationists need to find for us is they need to find why there is no path. They have to
Right.
explain to us why it's not possible. And they never get around to that. That's all they point out is we don't know which path it took.
Yeah.
Therefore, it can't be a path then, right?
Well, that's like when they say, how did the eye evolve? And you tell them a plausible way it could have evolved, and say, well, that's just a story. That doesn't mean it happened. Well, no, but that wasn't the claim I was addressing. I was addressing the claim you made that it must be impossible, whereas I just showed that it is possible.
James Apperson, Christianity anti-matters. That's a good one. Okay, antimatter.
Sure. Yeah, just a long-winded way of saying it is a legitimate issue that we're still working, but we have some leads, so we should hopefully be able to work it out in the coming years.
Okay, he's going to get all sciencey on. Our applied physicist is going to get all sciencey.
Ooh, nice. Finally.
Thing, right? You think about it. When matter and antimatter, when they're created and they combine, I mean, they violently destroy each other. So obviously, if that happened, if we had equal amounts, life wouldn't be possible.
Okay. Do you realize how stupid that was?
I mean, he's not wrong there.
Well,
that's kind of the issue.
Basically, if it was homogeneous, I mean, if all antimatter was right next to matter, then of course, life wouldn't be possible. There wouldn't be any matter in the universe. It would all combine. But there's an asymmetry. So, and we don't know what exactly the nature of that asymmetry is. It could be a spatial asymmetry. We don't know. I don't know.
Like I said, there are some interesting observations that suggest that these symmetries are broken in certain conditions. Like I was saying, like, for example, if anyone's curious, look up the weak nuclear force and all the interesting broken symmetries involved with that. For some reason, all the other forces don't care if you're matter or antimatter, or if you're a particle or an antiparticle, but for some reason, the weak nuclear force seems to care about it. Now, as I was saying before, that by itself probably isn't quantitatively enough to explain this total asymmetry, but that does suggest that there is something missing from our understanding that is probably out there.
Well, I think asymmetry is the very nature of the universe itself. There's
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna be really naive about physics here.
Okay.
And suppose there was, like a singularity. Okay, we don't know what the size of that singularity is. It
That's
could be
a
infinite.
really compressed state. Let's just say that.
Well, yeah, compared to what there is now,
Yeah,
and
really
that there
small.
was an almost equal amount of matter and antimatter, but there was a very 0.00001% difference, right? And all of the antimatter combined with matter and basically caused the expansion. And then we were left with that 0.0001%, which is the mass of the universe right now. So, I mean, that seems like something worth looking into, but it's very naive, right? But do you
I
see what I'm
mean
saying?
you're not far off though. The imbalances. I think
Very
it's
small.
for every because we can actually measure the ratio of photons to matter particles now. Um, so it would have been an imbalance of at least for every 1 billion matter particles out there, or sorry, 1 billion antimatter particles out there, there would have been a billion plus matter particles. So from that billionth uh, uh, percent difference, you have gotten all the matter in the universe that you see today.
Yeah.
So everyone let that sink in for a moment.
Yep. Okay.
Wasn't for that tiny difference.
Okay. We
All
at
right.
10:23, 10:30. Let's see. Okay, I'm almost at 10.
Yeah, probably good that we have timestamps here. Otherwise, we would have never gotten through this. I
No.
know I talk too much.
And I've only got like halfway through the video myself with timestamps. So after that,
Yeah.
we're in uncharted waters.
Well, it seems like a lot of it is preaching. So, and we're not too interested in that anyway.
Well, he's got a few things here where it's kind of funny.
You'd expect that from a biblical God to create everything with just matter, with maybe trace amounts of antimatter that we see.
Another problem?
Yeah, you could also expect that from a universe that happens to be here today. Like I mean, you could expect something happened.
Yeah, obviously something happened.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
Or God planned it that way, one or the other. It's like Jesus Christ. Oh, these people. Let's see. We're at 10:30.
Population 3 stars.
There we go.
They're missing.
Yeah.
We should have a whole bunch. I don't want to explain all the big jargon to you, but with the Big Bang, you're supposed to get hydrogen and helium and then some trace amounts of lithium.
Yep.
And yet those particular stars, a lot of those should still be around.
No. I don't.
Well, I mean, think about for a sec. If you have these stars that are supposedly made of only hydrogen, helium, that means they're, by the physical models simulations we've done, they're going to be really massive. What do massive stars do? They go supernova, which means they don't live very long. So that's going to pollute the rest of the universe with a lot of heavy elements. That means they're not just hydrogen, helium anymore. That means they're going to be smaller, which means no more population-free stars.
Right.
And just to point out that as we look farther back into the universe, higher redshifts, the metallicity of galaxies on average does go down. So it's there is the trend there. It's just we haven't observed these stars directly yet, but hopefully with the James Webb Telescope we are getting close. So
yeah, just for the hell of it, I asked ChatGPT about population 3 stars. And of course, we know artificial intelligence doesn't exist, right? But in case it does, ChatGPT said population 3 stars are theoretical and hypothetical stars that are believed to have formed in the early universe shortly after the Big Bang. These stars are thought to have been massive and short-lived, consisting primarily of hydrogen and helium with trace amounts of heavier elements. The absence of observed population 3 stars is not necessarily a problem. In fact, it is expected that they would be extremely difficult to detect directly due to the early formation and vast distances involved, and it goes on. So anyway,
right.
But there is no such thing as artificial intelligence, so we shouldn't believe any of that.
Yeah. story short, it's what he's saying is not an issue.
So I had some issues in mathematics today where I was having trouble getting my mind around isomorphisms, epimorphisms, and what is the other one? Monomorphisms. And I asked this dumb AI that doesn't exist to explain it to me, and it explained it unbelievably well. And like it's a topic in category theory, right? And it just laid it out. It's like, yeah, but we know that AI doesn't exist. So anyway, we don't have to worry.
And as Icarus correctly points out here, at least in astronomy jargon, there is only hydrogen, helium, and metal, because to astronomers, anything or any elements heavier than hydrogen, helium are considered metals.
How far back are you? Why am I not getting the current things? Anyway, okay.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't know. Okay.
That's why I'm here. I'm just pointing them out, I guess.
Like you're seeing them and I'm not seeing them.
Yeah, that's weird.
That bothers me. 10:30, okay, 10:30, 10:48. Okay, we're at 11:16. I don't know. We'll go to 11:16, see what little gem he has there. 11:16.
Skim for this, so I hope he has more scientific stuff to say than just this.
Oh, they say some amusing things.
Another problem is called the horizon problem. That's a distant starlight problem. The secular world actually has a distant starlight problem.
Yeah, we always get accused of having that, but yet they have the exact same issue.
Problem.
Yeah, we have the exact same issue. What is it? What is it?
So the horizon problem is this interesting case of what looks like fine tuning in the early universe. So it's not a deal breaker for the Big Bang as a theory. Like it doesn't specifically say the universe must have no horizon problem. It's just an interesting case of, that's weird. Why are the initial conditions like this exactly? But what the horizon problem is basically is if the universe were expanding rapidly, but today we see it as, or at least in the cosmic microwave background, as pretty homogeneous and isotropic, so all uniform, well, nearly uniform, and just all evenly spread out, temperature wise, density wise, that sort of thing. The question is, how would you get that exactly if the universe rapidly, so that distant parts of the universe couldn't causally communicate with one another, so they couldn't exchange heat fast enough as the universe is expanding to get the even spread of temperatures we see in the cosmic microwave background. So that's basically the issue, is just these initial conditions, how that arise exactly, and that's of course where I'm assuming he's going to talk about the flatness problem next, but that's where inflation basically was. Actually, interesting enough, inflation wasn't developed to explain the horizon or the flatness problem specifically. It was actually devised by Alan Guth and a few others to explain the what's called the magnetic monopole problem originally, but it just so happens to provide a possible answer to those other issues as well. So yeah, it's there are we do have potential solutions to these so-called problems. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, ChatGPT says inflationary cosmology provides a solution to the horizon problem, and they're going to call it a rescue device in about 2 minutes here.
Right.
So, what they mean by rescue device is that the theory and the hypothesis are fine-tuned and modeled, or the model is fine-tuned to match what is going on, and they call it a rescue device, and I call it what science does. But they don't think science is supposed to do that. Science is supposed to come up with the answer in the beginning and then go ahead and start, reaffirming that their answer is correct. No, that's not how it works.
Well, like I was saying, the original vanilla Big Bang model, it doesn't specifically state the initial matter density and spatial curvature of the universe was this amount. Like it doesn't give those starting conditions. That's not what it's designed to do. So saying that it didn't predict this because it didn't predict this, therefore it's wrong, is kind of, I mean, yeah, that does mean it's an incomplete theory, but that doesn't mean the basic concept behind it is wrong.
Yeah. Well, when I was using ChatGPT 3.5, I should try 4.0. 4.0 is what got the scientists that were analyzing the artificial intelligence to stand up and say, we don't know how it did that. We don't know what it's doing anymore. It's smarter than we think it is. That's what they said.
Mm.
They had some, like the ChatGPT 3.5 and 3.0. They were testing it and they were saying, "Oh, this is just blah blah blah," coming up with stuff that we would expect. Well, then they sat the same scientists down in front of ChatGPT 4.0 and they threw up their hands and said, "You got me. Something's going on here. This thing is smarter than it should be." Pretty interesting, actually.
I will also quickly point out that while the general idea of inflation happening is pretty widely accepted, or at least some basic inflation events probably did happen, there are other models out there what are called cyclic cosmologies that actually solve some other issues as well. So it's not like inflation is the only answer. There are a few models out there. We're just trying to find more data to test and differentiate between them, mainly by hopefully we'll find primordial gravitation. For anyone curious, there was a big kind of mishap with all that back in 2014 and 2015. If anyone knows about the bicep scandal, as it's called.
Okay.
But that's a side issue. Yeah.
Bicep?
Yeah, bicep, like biceps, but just bicep 2, I think, specifically.
Okay.
Back in 2014.
I'll have to look that up.
They thought they had discovered them, but it turned out to just be cosmic dust. So they're still looking for it, those gravitational waves.
So quick notice or announcement: Saturday we are roasting Ken Ham for lunch on Captive Death's channel at noon. So
nice.
Roasting Ken Ham. These guys, this is Ken Ham's son-in-law on the left here that we're looking at right now.
Oh, really?
Right? I think so, yeah. That's his son-in-law, Bodhi. I think I got that right.
Yeah, and I think their problem's actually worse when you look at the details of how far they have to get it to go.
Yeah, essentially there's this thing called the cosmic microwave background, if you guys have heard that, the CMB. And when you look at it, it has about the same temperature in almost every
they're starting
direction.
to glaze over. We started talking cosmic. Didn't you mention Einstein earlier, too?
You see that? So they just called their audience dumb, and they're the nerds. And basically they're starting to glaze over because you're talking about the science. It's like, okay, aren't they supposed to be showing us how the science can't possibly be? I mean, so they've got to talk about science, right? And then they're saying, oh, the audience is starting to glaze over because we're giving them facts,
Right.
And it's like, I don't.
Gotta simplify it and contort it in such a way that it'll make sense and they'll believe it.
Yeah, like it is in those 6 lines that he read from Genesis. God spoke this into existence, and then he did that. What the fuck?
Well, I know Dr. Dan made a video about this for Jensen specifically, but apparently AIG as a whole thinks their audience isn't smarter than a bunch of pigeons.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, I have a bookmark in force.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Roasted hams.
Let's keep it going. This is fun.
But no,
yeah. So basically, you have about the same temperature in every direction, which shouldn't be in the Big Bang. Yeah. Imagine you have point A and point B, right, on opposite sides. And if you have a hot point and a cool point, if you want to then warm up the cool point, you got to have according to thermodynamics, it has to have some kind of contact. The fastest way to do it is light. And even in the Big Bang model and their story, there hasn't been enough time from point A
for
to
the light
point
to get
B
there.
to be able to interact, to be able to exchange that heat energy back and forth. So again, they have that problem in their model. And it's a huge problem too. I mean, this isn't just a trivial one. This is a major
No,
In fact, one way people have tried to get around.
so here's the thing. You can say the universe just could have started with those initial conditions. It could have just started very uniform temperature-wise, but of course that doesn't really explain anything, and it doesn't really at that point it is kind of just a just so thing, but that's not a problem for the rest of it. Like, I don't know. Just the way he's explaining it here is just very misleading.
Yep. Well, I think let's see what he says.
Around that is they try to appeal to inflation.
Yep.
But of course, that in itself is a problem, cosmic inflation problem, because first off, there is no evidence for it. It's just an ad
There's a lot of
hoc
problems too,
explanation.
because how does it start, right? How does it stop gracefully in all directions and everywhere at once?
Let me explain.
We actually know that. We have lots of models for that.
There's
called
no
slow
evidence.
roll inflation.
I don't think we would have chosen the inflationary universe or dark matter or dark energy. It's just that this is based on what we observe. So there is evidence for these things.
Right.
And I think that's what inspired the model, and we're trying to figure that out, right?
Well, it's funny because actually the simplest models of inflation do make certain predictions about the specific nature of the fluctuations in the CMB, and those have been confirmed. Now, granted, there are, like I said, those other models that kind of make similar predictions, but they, in my mind at least, they kind of made it after the fact, so it's not as strong as evidence for those models as it is for inflation. But maybe that's just my bias. Yeah, it's not like we can't
Explain
make
inflation
predictions with inflation. I shouldn't say that.
Okay, where are we at here?
We're still actively testing.
1241. I got 1302. Okay, I'm going to go to 1302. We're going to skip a little bit here. 1302.
Back in 2012, a couple of researchers have been lead researchers on inflation. They've been working on it for a long time. One was Paul Steinhardt and Max Tegmark. They came out in the New Scientist, and here's what Steinhardt said. We thought that inflation predicted a smooth, flat universe. Instead, it predicts...
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So it was an article in Scientific American and Nature that both of those guys authored, and I don't know much about it. Do you know what they were talking about? Inflation destroyed itself. It logically self-destructed.
What they're talking about here is how a lot of inflationary models do a multiverse does come out of them, I should say. So that's kind of a not exactly pleasing to some physicists. So, but like that's kind of a side effect of it in a sense. It doesn't really. I don't know. There is some controversy over this. Like I said, that's one reason why inflation isn't agreed upon by all cosmologists right now.
Yeah, the case for parallel universes by Tegmark, so that's what he's referring to. And then Tegmark and Steinhardt also did an article in Nature, which I just subscribed to so I can get access to it.
Yeah. Steinhardt, he originally helped found the inflationary model, but he's now one of its opponents, basically, in the scientific community.
Okay. I'm going to
put a whole history behind all that, so if anyone's interested.
Scientific American article in my description, so people can find that, because I showed it. I have to describe it. Okay. So where we're at here, so they're talking about that. That's at 12. We're at 1319, 1302, 1316, I guess. Oh, no, that was something. Yeah, let's see.
And again, although Paul Steinhardt's a brilliant physicist and people should respect him, just because he said this doesn't therefore mean inflation is wrong. The thing that decides that is the evidence, ultimately.
Yep. Okay, going
That
ahead.
red spot on Jupiter, you know what scientists call that? They call it the Great Red Spot.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, like the creativity with these names.
They need to work with some writers to come up with.
So they're making fun
Oh,
of.
you want to talk about creativity? Oh, I got a few examples I could give you.
Yeah, like quarks,
Quarks or Sonic Hedgehog.
Yeah, Sonic Hedgehog's a good one. But so they're making fun of scientists, right, with their audience who they just a few minutes ago said, "Oh, they're glazing over because you're talking about science," right? So I mean, if you talk about
Right.
anything, like what are they saying exactly? So now they're making fun of scientists for not being as creative as their audience who glazes over when you talk about the horizon problem. I mean, what you see how they basically contradict themselves all the
Yeah.
fucking time.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just amazing. Just amazing.
A lot of it seems to be intuition based
Yeah,
with that.
rhetoric.
Like, if it's not common sense, then it doesn't make sense.
Preaching.
Yeah,
Preaching
basically.
what they're doing. Okay, 1428, and well, we'll go ahead. Well, let's see. Well, let's listen here from here on. We go to 1447, which is short.
Good names here, but no, with the axis, they found a region in space that was actually hotter than expected. That the Big Bang shouldn't have done.
Right.
And then they find this region, the cold spot, where it's just massively cold in this whole region, and it's right in the middle of an area where it's much warmer. So it shouldn't have been that problem.
It cracks me up
So-
with the Big Bang model. It's essentially like a model, for example, if I were to say something's going to happen tomorrow, and something does happen tomorrow, lo and behold, look, my model's proved. That's essentially what the Big Bang does too.
Yeah.
It says something's going to happen tomorrow, something happened, therefore.
Isn't that a prediction? What is he complaining about exactly?
He's complaining that the Big Bang Theory predictions are so loosey-goosey that you could basically predict anything and say, oh, the theories, which
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we don't know yet what's going on, and when new things happen, we adjust our hypotheses, our theory. We model.
well, I mean, there are like numerous specific predictions, like quantifiable predictions the Big Bang Theory has made. If anyone, I don't feel like listing them out right now because I've talked about them previously, but if anyone really wants me to, let me know. Just, I don't even know how to respond to this stuff.
Okay. This same critique has been applied to evolution, and it's
Yeah.
very parallel.
Very far away.
Mhm.
The farther away you look out in space, according to the secular model, the older it should be. So, like spiral galaxies should have wound up already.
Yep.
No.
What does he mean by that? What the? I've never
So I'll just say there are now mechanisms for generating these spiral arms. It's also not like the stars themselves are how do I word the spiral arms that you see in the galaxies are actually density waves. So basically the stars, kind of like a traffic jam of cars, are piling up there, but they aren't really they're not spinning in these arms in this way so that they would get wound up over time. And there are ways that these density fluctuations could be produced, such as by galaxies kind of tidally influencing each other with their gravity. So
Yeah.
also, I did want to know, I like how we mentioned the cold spot there, and as Logan Fisher says, it's a very minuscule temperature difference. Like, granted, when you're talking about the CMB, any temperature difference there is pretty minuscule. So, like you said, in the millikelvins. So it is slightly colder than the average, but I like how he mentioned that. And it's colder than the same time earlier. He also mentioned the horizon problem, that all the all the parts of it are pretty much the same temperature. So
Right.
kind of picking and choosing here.
Contradicted himself again. Okay, now we're going to switch to the Bible. What the Bible says: the heavens declare the glory of God. The sky above proclaims His handiwork. But it's interesting what they say now, right? Supposedly, and
Oh,
the
so we're done with all the sciencey stuff then. They bored their audience.
I'm not sure. See, after this, I've got a couple bookmarks left, and then I got one bookmark left
Okay.
in the next 34 seconds. So then we're on our own.
The heavens declare the glory of God. The sky above proclaims His handiwork. And sadly, a lot of these atheists, as an analogy, they're sort of like someone analyzing a painting, right? And they're analyzing, why certain colors are the way they are. Why is yellow yellow? Why is green green? Rather than actually admiring the painting and admiring the painter who made it. It's essentially the same thing with the atheists today with the James Webb Space Telescope. They're looking at this amazing universe around us that just declares the glory of God. Yes, they're just completely missing it.
Are they?
Okay.
This is really interesting. Now, this is a whole mindset, right?
Right.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, first off, besides begging the question there, painter, just like think about this for a moment. How many of us, like out here, or just anyone in the audience, have seen all the articles being written now about look how gorgeous these JWST images are, because they are beautiful to look at, no one's denying that, but of course at some point you do need to look beyond the beauty of the images and actually do science with it, of course, with the spectra being taken and all the light being collected and whatnot. That's what astronomers do with these images. Yeah, no one's denying that the cosmos is wonderful to look at, and what is he even trying to say here?
It's really interesting. He's saying, okay, look at the whole of the tree and just appreciate God's glory. Don't sit down and pick it apart and say, oh, the tree has leaves on it and the leaves have cells in them and the cells have chloroplasts in them. So what is he saying? We're not supposed to do science. We're not supposed to look at things and figure out why.
Yeah, it's almost like he's saying we're supposed to turn off our brains and just admire it.
And that's what he's asking his audience to do. Shut your fucking brain off. Read those 6 lines in Genesis and accept that that's it.
I'll think about the rest.
He claims to have a degree in science and to be a scientist. I mean, how in the...
It's disgusting at some level.
It is. It is very disgusting. Listen to these geniuses. Don't listen to anything else. Nothing in Scientific American or Nature. None of the papers. No, don't listen to that. They're missing the point. They're missing the whole. They're not looking at the trees and saying God,
I mean, it's really sad to see.
Well, the Bible actually talks a lot about astronomy and just different things that are out in the heavens. And, we expect God to be able to inform us about certain things, but He's not going to tell us everything.
We have finite minds, of course, and we're not going to be able to understand everything that's out there.
But, when you...
We have finite minds. We're not going to be able to understand everything that's
Okay, but didn't you just say a second ago that we're not supposed to figure it out, that we're just supposed to look at it and see the whole picture? Now he's saying we should figure out all the details by ourselves.
Yeah. But we have
he's constantly contradicting themselves here.
Yeah, we have finite minds, so we're never going to approach the glory of God or whatever the hell. And
yeah.
Anyway, I'm out of bookmarks. I don't know what else we got here. So,
does the rest of it have any labels?
What's that? Oh, let's see.
Like it says Psalms right there.
Psalm
the other little snippet.
Okay, Psalm, the Bible. The Bible.
Yeah, more preaching.
The Bible. I guess there's not much. Well, let's see what they say about the Bible.
Yeah. For the heck of it.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the Bible.
They're going to have to be rescuing devices.
Rescuing device after rescuing device. So rather than relying on fallacious assumptions, let's start with the historical eyewitness account, which is the Bible.
When I was in college, I actually struggled with issues.
Wait a minute. What? Okay, the guys that wrote the Bible, they witnessed the earth being created. That's how they got the idea to write that down at Genesis. I don't know. Oh, are they saying that God is the eyewitness?
Yeah.
But You haven't shown me that God exists at all. You have no
Right.
evidence. Do you have an observable, repeatable observation of God that you can point me to? Because I really want to fucking see that. I don't
How do you know God exists? Because the Bible says so. Well, how do you know the Bible is true? Because God exists.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
To the Big Bang. I'd grown up in church, I'd read that it was 6 days. I used to read the Bible all the time. Well, particularly Genesis.
Yeah,
I used to read Genesis
believe
all the
that.
time. Because
Well,
what I
that's
would do as a
funny.
kid, it's like, I'm going to read the Bible, and I'd read Genesis and Exodus and Leviticus, and I'd get to Numbers.
Yeah, and you're like,
And I struggled.
go back.
And I set it down like,
Numbers is like, okay, they talk about calling the red spot the red spot. I mean, Numbers is like really boring. It's really bad. I mean, they really need to get some better writers.
oh, I don't know if I can do this. And, months later, I'm like, I'm going to read the Bible. Boom, Genesis.
Yeah.
One time I got through Numbers, I kept going. It was great. And then I got to Chronicles.
And then they repeat
Someone
that.
told me they get repeated in there.
That's
Well, the
right.
point is, I read Genesis a lot, but
I think I got to the second Genesis thing, the second page, and I quit reading the Bible. And after that, that's it. That's all I know about the Bible.
Yeah.
It's just like, fuck it.
here I was in a science field, and I was really being pushed with things like Big Bang, evolution, and millions of years.
He's supposed to be a scientist too, Bodhi? Is he?
Wait, is he?
I thought he was just some construction dude that Ken Ham's daughter found on the side of the road and married. I didn't think he had a degree.
Right.
And so I actually started reading books like, hey, should I hold the Big Bang? What should I do? And I actually read books from Christians who were saying, yes, it's okay to believe the Big Bang. And what I did, I used to read those books in my Bible right there. Every time they referred to the Bible and said, yeah, this goes right along with the Bible. Big Bang goes right along with it, right here in Genesis 1. I'd go back, I'd stop, and I'd read Genesis chapter 1, the whole thing every time. That's what I'd do every time. And I remember I read a couple of different books, and by the time I got done with those books, I remember closing it like, really? This is the best Christianity has? And I was like, hold on, God's always right. God is always right.
Got it right the first time.
And I'm like, the Bible can be trusted. This guy, he can mess up. He can make mistakes. So could I. But God.
Okay. I think I'm done.
Yeah. This
I
is
think
Bible stuff preaching it.
the guy that wrote the Bible couldn't possibly have had an opinion, couldn't possibly have made a mistake.
Because it was inspired by God.
3,000 years ago, they didn't even know how to make a fucking proper pencil back then,
Right.
They
I thought disease was caused by demons or whatever.
yeah, exactly. Oh my god. These guys. Okay. I think I've had it with them. So,
Yeah, what Icarus said.
the Bible is true because the Bible is true.
On and on and on, round and round it goes.
Yeah. And I don't know how can people in the audience not see this? How can they not be out there just questioning a little bit that these two men are men who have opinions, and they're talking about how the opinion of man can't be trusted, and they're basically saying don't trust us, and people in the audience aren't getting that. They aren't seeing the fucking transparency of that idea.
Well, because they don't care, because they're telling them what they want to hear, and that's it for them. They don't think about the rest. Also, what Logan Fisher said, every time I learned something I didn't like, I went to my Bible blanket to comfort me, basically. That's basically what he just said.
So my opinion of these people is that they're people of they're dumb. I'm sorry, I can't help it.
Yeah.
These people are not smart enough to self-reflect and consider what they may be right and wrong about. They can't do it.
And it's at some level it is ignorance, but at another level it's also indoctrination, because they haven't been taught any other way of seeing it, or even how to get to that other way of seeing it.
Yeah.
They don't have access to it one way or another. So you can't entirely blame them. At least that's me being courteous here.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe I'm charitable.
I'm done being charitable with these meds.
I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
I'm just through. They're they're not impressing me. They've got to be a little better than this.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I
What-
thought they were gonna actually talk more cosmology in there, but nope, just the usual talking points. Which I guess I shouldn't be too surprised because it's AIG afterwards.
Let's see, what do they have here? They want to mix it with the Bible. They're putting two different. Yeah, they're mostly complaining about Christians that that believe that God created a natural universe that ended up being God's plan, right? Which, and Christians that think that way, I'm okay with them because they actually they think and they're not denying science.
They're trying. They're trying.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot better. And
Yeah.
Dr. Joel Duff is he's that kind of a Christian. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
They seem to be a lot more charitable and kind than younger creationists for the most part.
Yep.
Oh, Captive Desk got another link for it. Oh no, doing cosmology even more than this. Oh dear.
Is it worse?
He said, well, he says doing cosmology poorly, so I'm guessing it's worse.
Oh my
It's like
goodness.
they're actually trying to do cosmology, but
Is
still
the Big
doing
Bang
it.
falling apart?
Who's that?
Well, it looks like
Who's
it
that?
is. And I'm here with Sal. We're going to talk about the new information that is
What's
coming out.
happened? Oh, I've got two versions of that running, and I don't
New
know.
information. I wonder if they're going to talk about the study we just talked about the other day.
Let's see here. Let me turn that on.
Wink, wink, Sal.
Oh, here we go.
It's like, I don't know how it's possible. I just want to say, I don't know how it's possible, but somehow creationists keep continuing to surprise me.
Yeah. Is the Big Bang falling apart? So what did these two geniuses find?
Yeah, or would you be able to summarize Captive Desk?
What are they? Well, let's see if they got a transcript yet. No transcript yet, so it's a pretty new one. Well, we're going to have to look at this one, aren't we? I'm going to have to link this one in.
I guess.
Yeah.
Any comments on it yet?
Comments. Let's see. Oh, good job, Sal. Good job. Yeah. Okay, Martha Shellick. It sure is, smiley face, but so is the world. When we're raptured out of here, we will get some more information. Blessings to you. Well, that's pretty good. Okay, we're gonna get raptured out of here at any minute now, and we're gonna get the rest of the story. Is that what the fuck is gonna
I
happen?
guess gonna have to wait eternity to get the answers.
Yeah, and I don't know about getting raptured. I'm kind of like when I go up in a plane, when you take off really fast. I'm pretty uncomfortable. I don't think I want to do that. I'm gonna pass on the whole fucking rapture thing, if you don't mind. I do not want to go up in the sky without a plane really fast. I don't give a shit if they're gonna give me all the information or not. I don't care. I'll stay here. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, Dave is saying they talked about tired light from the 1920s. Oh, this should be interesting.
Oh no.
Look at this.
Take a look. Okay, I linked it in the description. It is saved. It is saved. You are saved.
I thought he was trying to move away from tired. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch this.
Yeah. Yep, Michael's
And
iPad.
we'll get back to y'all about probably all the other wrong stuff he says.
Yep. So, I've been studying some stuff called relational biology, and it starts out with this very simple model. And it's kind of interesting, but it's something worth thinking about when we think about all of these things, right? Like, okay, we have the world here, which we're trying to understand, okay? And this arrow here refers to causation in the world, like one thing that causes another thing, which we're used to. Well, what we do is we encode that into a model, okay, and we come up with a model, and then we decode it back into the world. And out here, what we do is we do some experiment, and we come up with an observable, which matches this causation, right?
So
And
what would decoding be here exactly?
decoding is going from our model back to the world. Like, okay, we have a model of say a particular biosynthetic pathway, right? And that's a model, just a model. It's just a story, just a story. And
Yeah.
then we decode it back into what's really going on in the world, okay? And then what we do is we find more information from these observations. So we have to encode another part of it into our model. So what we're doing is we're constantly refining our models, and that
Yeah.
is how science works. And then we test each refinement, and if the refinement works we do an experiment and we have an observable, well, then the model works. We don't have to change it. But if something here doesn't
The
work,
overall model gets stronger over time as we refine it.
the model becomes more homologous with what's going on in the world over time. And that's what's
I also like I also like the point you made there, that we're not just assuming the things that we're adding onto it, so to speak. We're testing each one. So that we're testing all the different parts of it as independent as we can make them to be.
Yeah. And one of the points of Rosen and some other scientists is that the only way for this model to completely get everything right is to be the world itself. That you can't model the entire world because of this problem we have of, we could talk about electrons, we get some electrons here, right? But just electrons is not going to explain it. What we have to explain is that there's a certain relationship between matter, between particles in time and space. And that generates complexity in the world, basically. And we're trying to model it as best we can, but we're never going to be able to model it completely. To model it completely, we would have to have a universe or something bigger than the universe to model the universe. And so we're all
kind of
end up refinements, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
this is kind of a side tangent since you mentioned electrons, but kind of what you were saying about interactions, isn't it? It's just cool to think about the fact that we occupy an amount of space and we can't really touch we feel the sensation of touch because electrons don't like to be next to each other.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I'm just reading a biosemiotics paper, and he makes, so they're talking, semiotics is like this idea that, you have a sign and you have an interpreter, and then you have the thing that's being interpreted, and there's like this triangle relationship. Well, the idea behind semiotics was that there was a mind involved, right? But he's taking it another step, and he's showing like how a little tick, with who's blind and can only smell butyric acid, how a tick interfaces with the world, and how a tick has a particular kind of language that it's dealing with in the world. And he extends this idea, and it's really cool. I mean, they're getting, there's this uber view of things that we're trying to get to. We're trying to get to this meta view of biology, and it's called relational biology and biosemiotics. Anyway, but there's much to learn, and I learn much every day. So
there's always more to learn, and that's the beauty of life.
Oh, I love that part. If I ran out of learning stuff, I'd be out of here. I'd just fritz out.
Oh yeah.
Fold up curl up like a dead flower.
I don't know what I'd do with myself.
Yeah, if you were raptured and suddenly God told you all of it all at once, what are you going to do tomorrow?
How would you keep your head from exploding?
I know, but I mean, I would have nothing to do tomorrow. It's like, okay, put me back down there, make me ignorant again, please. Because it's the journey that I love. Hi, Scott.
It's just kind of a controversial opinion we hold, but probably just heaven sounds really boring, to be honest.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
And yeah, like I told you yesterday, Scott, I said, wake up. And then when you wake up, wake the fuck up.
Well, yeah, there was something that happened between wake up and wake the fuck up that I just did not achieve.
Okay.
because it was just a very sleepless. There's that last leg of a good night's sleep that you get. I woke up just before that time and just never went back to sleep, and then
You went back and got it. Did you get it?
no, I don't feel very rested. Believe it or not, maybe I probably need some coffee. I haven't had any caffeine sources today, but
Ooh.
anyway,
Like you wake up and your mind still feels like it's asleep.
yeah, it's a little clouded, shall we say? But with that rapture thing, is it physical or is it more like, or is it like being transported in the Star Trek universe?
No, I think
Because
you can
I'm not
actually
sure.
feel yourself being lifted up into the sky, and you could look down at all the poor souls who are left behind.
well, I assume you have to cross a great distance in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the G-force on that would be pretty spectacular. And like, don't pilots have to wear pressure pants or whatever to keep them from like pooping all over themselves?
Yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of poop raining
So
down.
it will rain shit on the day of the rapture.
Like,
I think they're talking about like spirits rising from the dead, right? So maybe they're implying it's like moving to another physical plane of reality, kind of.
That's true, because like there's, of course, it never really says this, but a lot of people imagine their clothes being empty.
Yeah.
When they're raptured, it
You
doesn't
can't
say
do-
that.
Oh my
But
God, naked? I have to go up there naked?
you
No.
go up
Wait, so
there,
they basically become force ghosts like Obi-Wan
yeah, they're
Kenobi
forced
when he
ghosts. They're forced nudist colony ghosts.
I don't know, but I think the first reaction of most human beings to being suddenly lifted off the ground toward up into the clouds is that they're all going to shit themselves.
Yeah,
And if they don't have clothes on, it's going to be raining down. It's going to
yeah. A lot of people are going to die from the shit falling on their head.
Well, maybe that's enough to get me to accept Jesus, because if I'm left behind and it's going to be raining poop, I don't know. I might want to go up there. I'm not sure. I have to decide. Right now, I'm saying, nope, don't sign me up for that shit. Leave me here. Let me deal with the apocalypse.
The guys, they get white robes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, because we can't look at the naked body, so we have to quickly robe them people. Like, as fast as they lose their clothes, they'll get the right white robes.
maybe they get white diapers as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when I get dressed in the morning, my cats are looking at me like, "Come on, dude, cover that shit up. Don't let us see that." Yep. They enjoy when I get dressed. They're very fascinated with taking clothes off and putting it on. They just sit and watch,
Your
stare at me.
cats are interesting.
You've
Yeah.
got pervert cats.
Pervert cats. I think they're just curious that I can take my fur off and put
Yeah.
new fur on. It's like, wow, I wish we could do that. Like if they get wet, right, they're ruined. They think they're
They're
ruined.
thinking that if you fall down, they're going to eat you, and so they're waiting and watching.
They didn't just take my food. They took my body. They took my house.
I could use that as a defense if if I get old and senile and I end up out in the middle of the city somewhere naked. I can say the consciousness of nakedness is sinful. That's why I didn't do it. Right? So that would be my defense. A biblical defense, it is.
James wants to join us.
Oh, he does. Link you, baby.
I assume that's my interpretation of it. So I'll put the link out there, unless you say no within the next second or two.
Yeah. Link.
How long do you want to keep going speed?
Not long. You know me.
Yeah.
I'm one of and I still can't pin the link anymore because of their stupid heart thing. What did they? Is there a way around this? If I make it really big? No, there's no way around it. They just keep covering up every everything. Oh my!
You could always just hit a smile or two.
Oh shit! I lost my chat. Oh wait a minute! I found it. I can pin the message. Hey James, what's
Hey
up?
there, guys. How are you?
Yeah, we're okay. So, what do you think of our little Christian mindset that we displayed today?
I think that your reasoning about being naked in public is solid. I can't find any fault with it at all.
I know, right? That there's no reason I can't be conscious of it. It's a sin.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I did another stream yesterday,
You did? What?
and I regret doing it. I don't know why I could not get notifications. There's this guy named the Freak. You remember the Freak, right?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So after I had this conversation with him, like what, 5 months ago or something, it's still on my channel, 3-hour conversation, and he admitted to all kinds of things, like,
Right.
and he was so honest that that's why I let him stay around. He admitted that Christianity doesn't make sense. He admitted that you have to kind of be abused into it because you have to be desperately emotionally overwhelmed. He admitted that he goes around intentionally abusing people so that they will feel distraught, so that they will be responsive to the message. He admitted that you have to brainwash yourself into it because it doesn't make sense. He admitted all this stuff in a live stream. And so I'm like, well, hey, at least he's being an honest piece of shit. So let's let him stay around for being honest. And he's been sabotaging my stream something awful lately, to the point where people don't even want to be around for it. And here's the thing. Last time I did this stream, like yesterday, I intentionally didn't watch the chat because I didn't want to be distracted by his nonsense. But people weren't listening to me because they were distracted with his nonsense, and nobody was sure if they were allowed to block him or ban him or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that today. But now I'm asking myself, do I want to stay and doing a channel or not? I really, really, really want to start a new channel where I just read stuff, other people's stuff, not the stuff I've written, because it's shit, but the stuff other people have written, academic papers, academic journals, actually published books, right? And it can be about religious history, or
Don't
it can
forget
be
the funny statements from the stalls of public restrooms. Those are hilarious.
Those are always my favorite, absolutely. And that's how I became a legend. So there's that. But right now I'm kind of concerned because there is an interlink between the professional ecosystem of the different channels that talk about these things, right? And the social ecosystem. They're interconnected. If you get a bad reputation in one, it will hurt you in the other. If you get a good reputation in one, it will help you in the other. Logically, I get this. It's basic. So, a problem I've ran into lately is there are certain very influential and celebrated figures within this network of interconnected channels that discuss everything from atheism and religious fundamentalism, religious history, you name it, that have recently pretty much cut me off. Like, they just aren't going to talk to me anymore. And one person, I don't care. Two people, okay, fine. But it's kind of a trend lately. And I don't know what I did to piss these people off. Now, I don't need to lose any sleep over that, but now I'm wondering if my new reading channel needs to be in a completely different niche, not relevant to atheism, not relevant to religious history, not even academically, if it needs to be something completely different. Because if I've got a reputation to struggle against in that ecosystem, then I've got an uphill battle and I'm making my life harder than it needs to be. Because honestly, I don't care what I read. I don't care if it's children's books. I don't care if it's adult erotica. I don't care if it's comic books. Whatever it is, wherever the money is, that's where I want to go. And I need to build up from someplace. I've got this new microphone. I've got to get it set up, and then hopefully it'll work out well. So what I'm asking the community for is some feedback. Private's fine. I've got Facebook, I've got YouTube, I've got Discord, I've got a phone, right? Just anybody that's up to having a private conversation, letting me know this is what I've heard, or this is what I've noticed, this is what I think. Here's some things you could do better or differently. Here's some things where maybe you did burn too many bridges, right? Get some real feedback, some honest feedback, right? don't worry about my feelings.
I give you some honest feedback here. I'm looking for your video from yesterday, and it seems to have disappeared.
Oh, I set that to private because one, the intro wasn't all that great. It was a little bit confusing to people, so I needed to rework it. And two, nobody listened to the whole thing because they were too busy arguing with the freak who was saying completely batshit crazy things, and I didn't even notice when he was doing it. So, yeah, this is one of the reasons I don't want to do live streams anymore. I just don't. Right? It's not marketable. Like you can't. I could never be apologia. I don't have the secret counter apologetic sauce, right? I've got a voice. That's what I've got. And if I'm going to put that voice to work for me, then I've got to figure out where the most profitable niches are going to be for that. Again, I don't care what I read. That's what I've got to do. I just want to try to assess the situation so that I can decide if this atheist religious history niche is the right place to start, or if I burn too many bridges and I need to start in a completely different niche for it. That's all. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I've told you over and over again that what you're doing and streams you do are actually pretty good, and I find them very watchable. It's just that, you're not hitting, none of us are hitting an audience. Like I don't hit an audience here. Yesterday, who did we go after yesterday? Rebecca, and because I said Rebecca, I got 115 views, but normally I get about 60, So I mean, it's like we're not getting in, we're not getting out there. If you want to get out there, either you do edited videos or you do what you say, start reading, and that sort of thing. But I think if you wrote your blog and you went ahead and read your blog like you did here one time, I think that would get more views than anything, because what you write is pretty good.
I mean, here's the thing. The concepts that I write about are good. They're insightful, and I noticed connections between different things that most people don't notice. But the problem is, I try to pack too much complicated connections into one blog, and it leaves the reader trying to sort it out. And I write in such a way that works for my mental flow, but it doesn't work well for other people's mental flow, the way that I write. And I just feel like if I'm really going to make efficient use of my time moving forward, then I need to just read, right? I don't want to read my stuff. I don't think my stuff's marketable. I thank you so much for reading it and for giving me some praise. I don't get a whole lot, but I don't think it's marketable, right? And I just want to start making money. I used to, when I got into YouTube streaming, it was because I wanted to be part of a community. I wanted to provide a place where people can stop in, say hi to each other, listen to a friendly voice, be made part of the stream by me reading and interacting with comments, right? And that's why I got into it. But over this past year, my experiences have been such a mixed bag, because while there are some really wonderful people that I've gotten to know and that I'm blessed to know, if you pardon the word, there have been so many people that I've invested in that also have been horrible, right? They turned out to be absolutely horrible. Like really, really I just can't keep going through that. I just can't, right? So I want to keep contact with and stay relevant to the better people that I've met, right? The people that are cool with me, that I have managed not to offend, right? The people that kind of get me. Absolutely, it's valuable. I want to keep that. But I don't want to stay doing the stream where I'm this open door cheers bar kind of thing where people come in and I foster community and all that stuff, because the reason I don't want to do that is because too many problematic people walk in that front door and then it becomes my problem, right? When somebody like Pelagia or Derek from Myth Vision or anybody else does a channel, and if you've noticed lately, Myth Vision and Gnostic Informant and other channels have been doing a lot less live streams lately. What they're doing mostly now is just creating polished content offline and uploading it. And so already the format they used to have only allowed for a minimum amount of interaction with chat, right? So if problematic people came in through the door, mods can take care of it, and then the problem is solved, right? It doesn't follow them anywhere, right? Because they're not interacting with it, they're not becoming part of the drama. And now that they're just creating polished content offline and uploading it, they're even more protected with an extra layer between them and the community, right? Because they're having even less interaction with anybody. And while that's less personal, it's more professional, right? And it's less risky. And I think that that's the wave of the future for anybody that's doing this for the sake of building a business, which I want to start doing. If my last year's experience had been more positive, right? If I'd ran into less really problematic people and less consequence from that, then maybe I'd just be still just seeing this as a social enterprise. But if I'm gonna go through all that, I'd rather have it be marketable. I might as well.
You know, in the
Go ahead.
early days, I had a lot of really bad people here, and I banned like 3 of them. Well, then I banned Danny 144 times, and I banned Otangelo 11 times. And I basically, and I, I ended up banning about 3 people, but eventually they dropped off. They just quit listening. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I know originally we had some really bad players in chat, and I just ignored them. I
Sure.
mean, when they were really bad, I blocked them. So,
Right.
anyways,
So
is this an accurate picture of DeFreak right here? So he gets a message from God, and he's got an axe, and he hits a victim. The victim hits his bottom, and then he has a spiritual experience. Is that what you claim? That's what he told you he does? It's like,
it's I'd have to go back and grab the clip, but oh my gosh, he did, because I talked about how Christianity likes to focus on people or target people that are emotionally overwhelmed in life, right?
right,
They're
exactly.
they're effectively drowning, and you're throwing them a life preserver. These
Drug
people
addicts,
are in a
alcoholics. Yeah.
Yes, these people are in a inmates, drug addicts, alcoholics, people that are economically overwhelmed, people that are educationally impoverished, people that are having a hard time making sense of themselves and their life, people that are having a hard time finding courage and strength and endurance, and people that are overwhelmed with life. Those are the people, those are the adults that Christians focus on for their outreach because they're in that vulnerable place. When I talked about this with the freak, he's like, yeah, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I promise this is an honest paraphrase, that he himself does that. Not only does he look for people in that state in order to um, prey upon that, basically, but also he does sometimes intentionally cause people more distress in order to make them even more broken and humbled, because then they're going to be more receptive to the message and more in need of a lifeline that he can throw them. And I just can't even put into words what an evil fucking shitty thing that is to do in this world. I just
But
can't even. Go ahead.
I want to point out that Buddha claimed that that was the path that he chose in order to be enlightened, right? That some
Mm-hmm.
people, like there are some Buddhist schools of thought where they will put themselves in the, like in total poverty and, shed all worldly possessions and put
Mm-hmm.
themselves in an extreme period of stress. And when I had that grand mal spiritual experience when I was 15, I was at a super stressful point in my life
Mm-hmm.
where my life was in serious danger of ending. And as a result of that, I had a spiritual experience. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a human phenomena that they
Sure.
are commandeering in order to
Mm-hmm.
create a fucking cult. And that's all
Right.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cult.
Right. That's what it is.
And
So
but it's interesting.
it is interesting. And I don't care that he's problematic in his own space, right? It's not my problem. But when he brings that to chat and people get so distracted with it, they're no longer having a good time. They're not paying attention to me because they're paying attention to him. Um, it's just a bad time all around, right? People walk away from that experience. They don't go, "Oh, I sure am glad I spent those 2 hours arguing with DeFreak in James's chat." They walk away saying, "Man, why doesn't James ban him? That was a bad time. I'm not sure I'm going to go back to it." Right? And I'm just like, nah. It's easy enough to ban somebody, and I need to be quicker about that. But one of the mistakes that I've made in my non-career on YouTube is that I've been too easygoing. right? I let people get away with such things because I'm patient and I try to be understanding, and because I let them get away, they derail the topics, they insult me, right? And I just let them get away with it. And then at some point I'll set a boundary, but it's not a strict enough boundary, right? And so it has undermined people's, I think some people's respect for me. And part of it's because I'm tired. I've got chronic fatigue syndrome. I'm chronically sleep deprived. I'm depressed, right? And I'm dealing with health stuff. And I'm too tired to set healthy boundaries, which is why I couldn't even afford to be in a relationship right now, because I just get walked all over because I'm tired, right? And that doesn't translate well when you're doing a YouTube channel. It just doesn't, right? And if you get somebody on there that behaves well, last night, Fatih said, "I wish Mike was here." Toward the end of my stream, that answers an atheism guy, because he's great to have these conversations with. And I said,
Really?
"Yeah, where's yes?" And I said, "Where's Mike when you need him?" Right?
Wow.
And yeah, and they were right 100%. And I do better when I've got an active dynamic with people. Now, ironically, my dynamic was great with Jay. It was great with Jay, but but there were problems that were just building, right? And building because I ignored the problems, right? And because I ignored them, they eventually came to a head, and there was a big falling out, and it was avoidable. The drama was avoidable. The consequences were avoidable if I either would have stepped back early on or been more better about communicating offline with Jay about my concerns. Maybe that could have helped the situation. And that's on me. I blew up and I shouldn't have, and I'm paying the price for that even still today. But that's the thing, like, I'm not good at setting boundaries with people that with healthy people, you don't need to, right? If there's a healthy, reasonable person in your shared space, very little work needs to be done to maintain healthy boundaries. But if you're sharing a space with somebody who is going to be testing those boundaries to see what they can get away with, and you're too tired to enforce the boundaries, all kinds of problems are going to fall from all kinds, right? And that's the mistake that I've made on my channel that I can't unmake, right? I've just spent this year making that mistake, building a reputation as a pushover that people are kind of like, I don't know if I respect this guy or not. And I'm not sure. Like, I could be exaggerating the problem in my own mind. I'm trying to figure it out. So if anybody out there ever hears some rumors, or if you have some experience to draw from to say, James, here's a thing that I've noticed. You do this thing or you don't do this other thing, and I think it might help you. Send that my way. Text, email, phone call, you name it. Send it through the grapevine. Tell Mike and he'll tell me, because I could always use the feedback because I'm
You
trying
know
to
what
figure
I
out.
do?
Yeah.
You know, my method, I just pretty much like always get distracted and I miss the chat. So, and I shouldn't, but I do. You know, if you pay attention to chat, uh, your show's going to go one way. If you don't, it's going to go another. So it's just, I don't know. But I
Yeah.
always capture my chat and I always read it later, you know, and kind of, I should be better at the people that are listening, because you guys are, you know, basically the only reason I'm doing it, I guess. I don't know.
Sure. Sure.
It's tough, but then if you got a bad player in chat, you got to fucking ban them. Just toss them out. Fucking time them out.
Yeah.
Times,
And
yeah.
sometimes those decisions aren't obvious. Like, for example, I wrote a blog last year where I was super critical of Bart Ehrman. Like, I was not gentle about it at all. And it was about an issue that I thought was important.
Yeah.
Now, did I maybe push too hard on a few points? Yeah, maybe. All right. But some people that are highly influential in the community are good friends with Bart Ehrman, right? And they feel defensive on his behalf if you go after their friend, right? And so, yes, the points were valid, and yes, the thoughts were well constructed, and yes, somebody needed to say it. But I should have said it anonymously. I should have created a sock account, wrote that shit, and people can read it or not. People can get pissed or not a problem. But I put it in my own name out there in the ecosystem, and I paid a price for it, right? And this is one of the many mistakes that I've made along the way. And it's just the intricacies, the nuances of this minefield of a community, and how, man, an earnest mistake can be quite consequential, has kind of left me asking myself, am I mentally acute enough Am I well rested enough? Do I have enough energy to notice the problems before they happen? To get better at navigating that minefield? And is it already too late? And the answer is I don't know, right? I just want to make a channel where I read books. But if I can't get promoted because I burned too many bridges, then I need to find a different niche to write in. That's all. To read in, I mean, not write. So this is what I'm struggling with lately.
What the fuck is this? He can taste it? What is that one?
Oh, yeah.
Would send his son personality to walk the earth, posting as a human. First, he would need a body.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and click on that one. I think it's great. It's a short one.
Okay. Yeah, the father personality and fulfillment of the prophecy.
So let me give you a backdrop on this blog.
Okay.
It's a proof of concept. It's not serious. Most of my blogs are serious. That one's not. What I want to do, and I welcome anybody to join me in this project if they want to, is I want to create this X-Files type explanation of Jesus. Like something that Dana and Fox would be investigating in the X-File movies, right? To where it turns out that the legends of Jesus and the legends of like the Chupacabra and the Skinwalker and vampires and all this other stuff, that it's all based on an actually existing supernatural being, and that Jesus was one of his incarnations, right? So he shows up throughout his human history in different forms, terrorizing people, giving them ultimatums so they can build a cult, and then after he dies, he comes back in a different form to terrorize people some more. And so this is my explanation for Jesus.
Hunt for the Skinwalker. So
Yes.
okay, so it starts out with child sexual abuse, and then we go for the hunt for the
Right. So the child abuse thing is about God and Mary, right? Impregnating Mary. So just to clarify, it's not anything else than that. It's just God impregnated Mary, and she was too young to consent, which is a common point that atheists make, anyways, right? And I don't know that I'll keep that in the story. I might just remove that because maybe it's too triggering. But
No,
I do want to make
it sets it up perfectly. Clickbait, man, clickbait.
clickbait.
Yeah. Well, animating that puppet, the son personality would pretend to be human. Yeah, it was a puppet. Oh my goodness. Who is this dude? The meat puppet. Oh no.
This is Jesus coming back to life as, basically he's like Freddy Krueger and Jason for Friday the 13th. He's every single monster legend we've ever had.
This is a great movie. I would watch this if Netflix did this. Okay. The meat puppet, quietly and visibly. Oh, and then we'd have who are those two actors you mentioned? What the fuck's his name? The series you started talking about.
Oh, X-Files. So
X-Files, yeah.
Fox Mulder, Dana Scully, like
have
it be that kind of a thing where they're investigating it.
They have to investigate it. He will find you, and nobody knows the day or the hour. So be ready or be dead. Yeah, that's pretty good. I love how you
go back to the Jeepers Creepers.
Memes. Yeah, he can taste your fear. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's pretty good. Anyway, I linked your blog in the description, and did I put it in the description? I think I did. And I put it in chat. Let me see here. Where the hell are my videos? There they are. No, I have not yet. I will. I'm going to link this one, this particular one, so they can find the rest of your blog.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And go take a look at it, because yeah, you should get views on the thing. I find them pretty good to read when I'm not studying category theory and abstract algebra and molecular biology. When I have time, yeah.
Sure.
I try. Nephilim.
So that's it.
Nephilim Free was the band Meat Puppet. He was ranting about it. Really? I would love to hear. I would love to have that clip. Oh my goodness. Nephilim Free on the Meat Puppet.
Wait, was Meat Puppet a reference? When they made the name Meat Puppet, was it a reference to Jesus?
I don't
Because
know.
I thought I was the first person that figured out that it translates into Meat Puppet. Because if you think about it, that's what the Trinity is. It's a God with multiple personality disorder, who has this dominant personality tell his sub personality to go down and puppet a Jewish kosher meat puppet to pretend to be a human for a while, scare the shit out of people, pretend to die, give everybody ultimatums, right?
Let me see here if they talk about how they've created the band name. We were really into pissing off the crowd. That was one thing. They managed to piss Nephilim off, I guess. Remember Nephilim? Oh, Marina, if you know where that clip is, I would love to see that one. Turned the band into one of the leading bands on SST Records, along with Violent Femmes, which is a really good band. Established a genre called cowpunk. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
So he thought these bands were spreading evolutionist propaganda.
yeah, okay. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys,
All
Nirvana did a track with, let's see here, where are we? Meat Puppets doing an MTV. Oh, really? Their Unplugged thing? They did a track with Meat Puppets? I have their album on Nirvana Unplugged. I don't know. There's a new channel on Sirius XM called Unplugged, where they have all the unplugged artists performing. I'm trying to find it. I haven't found the channel yet. I just heard about it. Okay, we lost Andrew. He got bored with us.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Damn it, Andrew.
We didn't say Big Bang for 20 minutes, and he left.
Yeah.
Well, he's the opposite of me. If you say it even once, I leave. So
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, okay. We're going to shoot her in the head. So, Big Bang.
Big Bang.
Stick around, James. I want to have
Expansion.
I want
All
to
right,
have
sounds
a
good.
word with you.
Plank
Okay.
time.
Anyway, yeah, we're done. So, you agree? We're done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're going to end the stream, guys. Thanks, everybody. Had a good audience today. Good chat. Anyway, goodbye, cruel world. We're ending.
Goodbye.